Welcome, 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 welcome to the I'm Josh Saying podcast, where applied knowledge is power. Welcome, man. Thank y'all for coming in and listening to one of the best podcasts in the world. If I do say so myself, you're going to receive so much game from my guest, and we are just getting cranked up, man. So I'm excited about this special guest today, but let me take care of the business first. So I'd like to thank all of our sponsors, which is Pivot Technology School, which is a 20-week accelerator teaching data analytics, web development, cybersecurity, and you can pivot all across the country with their virtual platform. So pivot your career today. And also Career Thrivers is one of our sponsors as well for this episode. And you're going to hear more about Career Thrivers shortly. Also, I'd like to thank Great Convo Media, where the chatter matters. Make sure you all go to greatconvo.com and subscribe to all of the other podcasts, as well as subscribe to my podcast. And also, you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, listen, rate, and leave comments. Also, you can go to Joshua Mundy on YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think that was a whole mouthful, but hey, let's go. So today I have like a very, very special guest. I've been watching this young lady work, work, work in the pandemic. And I think I met her last year, but I thought she was a tailor. I don't know. I think your name.
Wait, you thought I was a tailor?
Hold on. I know what it was is that it said styled by Brittany. Okay. I think it was styled by Brittany, and I thought she was a tailor. But I want to introduce you and then we'll talk about that. But this young lady is doing amazing things when it comes to, I ain't gonna say women, but it was when it comes to diversity, when it comes to corporations, she is leading the charge in every area. And when I say somebody that is thriving in the pandemic, this young lady is thriving in the pandemic. And also she is the best selling author. Let me say that again. She is the best selling author of the book, Thrive Through It. So everybody give it up for Brittany Cole. Woo!
I mean, I need to take you with me to like every engagement to do the intro, okay?
Yo, Brittany Cole is one bad mama jamma. I'll call her the machine, okay? You all may not follow her on social media, but all I'm telling you is that when the pandemic hit, everybody turned down and Brittany Cole turned all the way up, baby.
Listen, congratulations on your new show. I mean, come on, like personalized jingle intro, like all the things. I'm loving it. Thank you for having me. And 2020. I mean, what can we say? A lot.
Man, 2020 has been like very, very interesting. I mean, it was just an interesting year. And we talk about how they say the 2020 vision and having clarity, but it really has provided clarity. But people was thinking about 2020 vision as, I'm about to blow up and I got all these plans and things of that nature. But the whole world had to pivot and really had to really see the things. I think it really revealed the things that are most important. Mm-hmm. So it gave it 2020 vision on what's the most important things in my life. Yep. So, that's my kind of insights on 2020. What do you think about what has 2020 been for you?
Well, I would definitely say that I agree with you. And I'm just sitting over here smiling because since my book has been out, I've said a little bit before, but I've gotten more comfortable talking about just my own personal and professional loss in terms of my story. And I believe that when you journey through grief, it is the clearest that you get on your priorities. It's like you have this not only just new appreciation, but this deeper awareness of what matters to you and the boundaries that you need to create around it to ensure that you're walking that out. So I would agree with you. Like 2020, people thought like, oh, vision is this sexy thing. No, I believe clear vision comes through oftentimes devastating loss. And I know that you know that better than anyone else. And so, when those things happen to us, a lot of times we champion like strength and resilience and like, oh, I'm gonna bounce back. Really, it's like you dig in and you really start to ask yourself, those deep questions, and your level of awareness just really shifts from things that are like, no, that's not really important, or
Right.
oh, that's not, it used to be important but it's not anymore.
Right.
And so that alignment, and as a believer, like divine alignment is like, oh yeah, I'm real clear. Like I'm real clear on what we
Right.
doing.
Right. So talk about, so when you was coming into 2020, I'm not sure. So how long have you been gone from corporate America?
Yeah, a little over a year. So August 19th, 2019 was my last day.
So August 2019, your last day. Now you were doing it because I think, because I saw that you were used to do these things on the weekend, or it's like these things with like Macy's or Dillard's. And I used to see those things, but I didn't know if you was doing that on your own or if that was on the side. You was building up your business. Like, so you started off August 19th, 2020. In what lane? What was the lane then?
Yeah, so I'll take us back a little before that. So you mentioned
Okay.
Style by Brit. So I've heard of all the things. People are like, oh, is Style by Brit like are you a hairstylist, or like do
Let me
you
tell
do
you
you
something.
make clothes? Like
I started following you because I thought you was a stylist. Okay. I was literally going to hit you up because I saw you fly. You know what I mean? You got yourself together, the red bottoms and like, long jackets and, so I thought you was a stylist. So I was going to reach out and say, hey,
I was. So
style
yes, I
me.
was. So that was my intro into entrepreneurship. So
Okay.
2015, I started out doing image consulting. So I was doing personal styling. So that's where the whole Style by Brit comes from. And the quick story is I was attracting a different client than the one I thought I was going to attract. So I thought I was going to attract, people like you, like people that, you have a good sense of style, but maybe you're going somewhere, you got a special event and like you want to take it up a notch. But the client that I was attracting was women that were making professional moves. And so I'd be at their home, in their closet, trying to help them, put their looks together. And they're like, bringing me their resume, like, can you look at this? Or like, oh, I got a conversation coming up with my manager. Like, what do you think I should say? And so I'm like, okay, I see a pivot opportunity here to like not only help you with your look, but like also to help you with your career. And really that was because my clients knew that I was also in corporate America. I was navigating my career and those sorts of things. So I made what didn't feel like an organic shift at the time. Like I thought like, I'm moving from, fashion, image consulting to career coaching. Like, how am I going to make that happen? But I decided to make the shift probably about 2 years into doing image consulting. And so I was working at Pfizer. I spent 12 years there. I was in marketing at the time. So I was living in New York. I'm a Nashville native, but I had spent about 4 years in Chattanooga where I started my business. And then I got married. Joe and I relocated to New York, and New York is the fashion capital, but when it came to like sending people clothes and like just navigating the logistics of styling, I'm like, yeah, I can't do this. Like, I'm not getting on the subway with all these bags from
Right.
Macy's on, in Midtown. Like, I can't do it. And
Uh,
so that cemented for me, like, okay, yeah, let's make this shift into career coaching. And yeah, I decided to take the leap full time to really go from what I was noticing was like I was helping primarily Black women make a change in their career, level up, get promoted. But then there's this, you can coach up diverse talent,
right.
be ready to go do all the things. But if you're going back to a mediocre manager,
Right.
so,
Right.
so I'm like, okay, there's an opportunity here, not only to help, diverse talent, but also to help organizations cultivate the culture where you can retain the talent that you're trying to attract. So that was the shift for me in terms of saying, okay, I'm going to take this faith leap and, rebrand my business. So 2019, I rebranded from Style by Brit to Career Thrivers. And
Okay.
yeah, I've been doing it ever since.
Yo, so I could see the shift. Like, how you can really watch people and watch like the shift take place within like they whole swag, like, because I watch, like, I'm really like motivated by like people when I see people doing their thing on Instagram and like organically doing their thing, not like that made up doing their thing, but really like seeing their brand go from where it was to now, because I feel like you've built like an amazing brand that has like transitioned from just like career thrivers, let me work with you and coach you, from like a corporate go-to source. So like when did that happen? When did that shift started to take place, when they started identifying Brittany Cole as the person that we need to talk to come lead every workshop? Because I see you on LinkedIn on every workshop, everything. And really, like people in business, I think they pivot too much. Okay.
Mm.
And pivot too much, meaning that, they try something, but don't give it legs enough to really see it through. And then they are trying something else. And then they rebranding and trying something else. And then rebranding and trying something else, when they really don't have a clear objective. And you can make adjustments and changes, but when you're making clear shifts, when you're with your brand, nobody can really follow you. And I've been able to really follow how your brand has come from where it is, from where it was to now. It's like it's gone to a whole nother level, like imagery, like everything. I'm just giving you props right now, but imagery, all that is gone to a whole nother level. And like, help people with that transition from, I have something, it's working, I need to make a slight pivot to make both of these things work together.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I appreciate that. Like, because I will tell you, as you're moving through it, sometimes you won't know. And so let me say one thing, just from my experience working as a marketer, I think that I'm gonna say two things before I answer your question. The first thing that I'm gonna say is that I think so often when we talk about entrepreneurship specifically, um, we can, just like you said, pivot too fast. And sometimes by pivot too fast, I mean we miss opportunities to be an intrapreneur before we are an entrepreneur. So we miss opportunities to understand, listen, I may not be having the best experience at my 9 to 5, but I'm working at a business, right? And part of being a business owner, regardless of industry, is having a sense of business acumen. Like, it's all the other stuff too. It's the, you know, being able to take risk and being able to shift, and all those things matter. But really, it's about understanding the way that business operates. And if you work
Yeah.
at a business, if you're getting a check, you're working at a business that is likely profitable. So making sure that you are leveraging and taking advantage of those opportunities to learn and squeeze everything out of that 9 to 5 that you
Yeah.
can. So that's the first thing that I would say that has really, really helped me. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't lean on something that I learned at Pfizer, even when I wasn't having the best experience. The other thing that I would say is that you got to know the difference between a rebrand and a refresh, right?
Okay.
Sometimes it's just that you need a refresh. So like the
All
look,
right, hold on.
feel, and the
Ding, ding,
aesthetic.
ding, 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 ding. This is a I'm Josh saying moment. This is a I'm Josh saying moment. Can you run that back one more time? I'm Josh saying moment just happened. Say that again. What's the difference?
Yes, so
What?
we have to
Come on.
understand the difference between, and any marketer is probably nodding their head right now. A refresh means you're just making a minor shift in the look, the feel, the aesthetic, but it's not a wholesale change. A rebrand is saying, I'm moving from being known as a personal stylist, being known that I'm gonna come to your closet and fix your clothes, to now I want to be known as somebody who's coming into your organization to speak on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those things are in two completely different spaces. And so I need to make a true pivot. I need to change directions. And so there are these, I call them steps, but it's really much more fluid than like I take one step and then I take the next. But in terms of like knowing when it's time to reinvent and knowing how to reinvent. And so I would say the first thing is that you feel some sense of discomfort. You're like, okay, I was doing this, but like this isn't really working. And I would say either discomfort or disruption, right? So sometimes the discomfort is like, whoa,
Right.
what just happened? Like I was not expecting that. So that's usually the first sign. But then you don't stop there, right? You have the discomfort, but then you also have this desire for more, right? So I was having the discomfort as a stylist. I'm like, okay, you're expecting me to come to your closet, come to your home, help you with your closet and your wardrobe. We spend 5 hours and you want to pay me what? Mm-mm.
Right.
Like, that's not going to work.
Ah,
So you have to have this desire for more, which I think there's all this vision and other stuff that I could talk about, but the desire has to be there. But then you have to make the decision to shift. And I think this is
right.
where a lot of people don't take this third step. It's like you have this desire for more, but then you just thinking about it. You have an analysis paralysis, looking at everybody's content, taking every course, listening to every podcast, reading every blog before you make the decision to shift. And you know you've made a decision to shift when you've set a deadline. When you've
Come
said,
on.
okay, on this date, I'm no longer doing that. I had to set a deadline and saying, I don't care what people are paying me to style them. I'm not doing that anymore because I
Yeah.
want to shift to this lane. So I have to make a deadline either to act or to stop acting. And then the last thing that I would say is that you got to just do it. It wasn't
Come
pretty
on.
when it started. Like it wasn't pretty. You got to do it scared, afraid, all the things that you hear, but you also have to do it, particularly for Black women when you don't have it all perfect or quote unquote excellent. Like
Yeah.
if I were to show you some early stuff, like my husband laughs all the time. Sometimes he'll bring in my Style by Brit logo, like the first one. I'm like, do not bring that up in here. Like, it was a hot mess, but
Yeah.
I needed those moments in order to be on the path that I'm on now. So I would say, those are some ways that have really helped me to make the transition and to continue to shift and thrive.
Man, that is so incredible. Right now, with Pivot and we're trying to get more people to really see what this country is going and where it's headed, and to really have foresight to really make the decision to change careers and shift their careers from one thing to a whole totally different thing. Like, so what type of advice would you give somebody that's really looking to really make a change? They've been doing customer service or whatever type of jobs that they're doing, and currently nothing is secure right now. With the economy doing what it's doing, the pandemic is doing what it's doing. Like, what type of advice can you give somebody when it comes to really like shifting their careers?
Yeah, I would definitely say that I think one of the first things that you want to think about is what are the transferable skills, right? So often we spend time thinking about like, what is the title that we have? So a senior manager at Pfizer looks a lot different than being, say, a senior manager at, Bridgestone, right?
Right.
The roles are different. The title sounds the same, but the roles are very different. And so I think because of that, we can't just stop with like, I've had this title. Well, what does that mean? What is the value that you brought to that role? And so one, learning how to speak in the language of value and not just your title, but then two, understanding that when you think about the value that you brought to that role or that title, what are the transferable skills that can be applied to any job or any industry, and being able to identify those. And then the last thing I would say, Josh, is about communication. Like I love storytelling, and it's not
Come
just
on.
important for business, but if you are a working professional and you don't know your career story, and if you can't communicate it in a clear, concise, and compelling way, that's where you need to start. So being able
Yeah.
to talk about your experiences and to talk about the value that you brought to the role and to talk about why you are a great candidate for this position based on those transferable skills that you've identified. Like those are what we like to call soft skills. I believe that
Yeah.
they're power skills and they're the skills that make or break your career advancement.
Come on. Communication rules the nation, man.
Yes.
Communication. See, a lot of times, social media has killed communication. Okay. Like people don't know how to talk. People don't have the gift of gab, like really don't know how to really express themselves. I feel sorry for women these days. Like men are be in the same area as a woman. They'll go on their social media and then send them a DM. Man, won't you walk across the room and talk to her? She right there. You stand there the whole time. You want to send her a message because people don't know how to communicate. And social media has killed that, but it's killing people in their careers because they don't know how to sell themselves. They don't know how to go in there and interview properly. They used to texting. No, we have to get to the point where we got to sell ourselves. It's one thing that you have the skills. It's another thing to really communicate said skills. And that's what you do well. You communicate what you do very well. I know, and I'm clear. I can see now, okay, Brittany does this, and this, and I can see it. It's clear. It's the message is told clear. I can see it. But when you're not telling your message clear, that's when you gotta rebrand
Yep.
instead of refreshing by just changing up your logos, changing up your pictures, stop using your home camera and go get a photographer for real. Like doing those little things and adjustments to really enhance yourself and enhance your brand. So let's talk about the best-selling book. First of all, look, I've been trying to write a book for 3 years. All right. I can't do it. The ADD in me it just takes over.
You can do it. You can do it. You
I'm
got it,
trying.
Josh. You
Let me
got
tell
it.
you something. I ain't gonna lie. I'm hiring a ghostwriter and we work together.
Let me tell you a little secret. Try this first before you hire a ghostwriter.
Okay.
Go on Google Doc
Yeah.
and go to tools and go down to voice typing, because you
Sure.
can talk your book, right? Or you can, have the outline, right? Have the skeleton done first. But a lot of my book, especially the first manuscript, now it was some heavy editing because it was reading like I was talking, but but you first want to get something down on paper. But
Yeah.
I found that helped me, and I actually enjoy writing. So I was sharing with the group the other day, like the first manuscript of Thrive Through It. Like I had to write the book again. I wrote the book twice because the first manuscript was for me. Like it
Yeah.
was completely a cathartic experience. It was not about, I didn't have my reader in mind. I was just getting out, all of the things, because I share a lot of my personal story in the book. So, but the voice typing helped me get it done.
Yo, I'm trying. I've tried everything. Voice typing. I have a concept and I'm just trying to work through these, I'm trying to work through these points. And so it really helps that I can talk through it
Yeah.
and do it. But man, I have to release something because everybody's releasing books. But look, let me tell you something. Brittany didn't have to buy her own book. People went and bought her book, and it is a Amazon bestseller. Thrive Through It. So what is it all about? Tell us a little bit of what's the synopsis through the Thrive Through It.
Yeah, so the book is a guide to help us redefine resilience in life and business. And when I say redefine resilience, I think that we often look at the word or the characteristic of being resilient through a rearview mirror. So something happens, we have a disruption, we go through a loss, whether it is the loss of a job or the loss of a client or business opportunity, the loss of your business, or even the loss of a loved one. And then we spin our wheels trying to bounce back, right? That's usually the language. Like, oh, resilience is about bouncing back. And I don't necessarily believe that. I don't believe that the point of the loss is to go back to where you were. And so I share in the story a professional loss in terms of me making a transition of having spent 9.5 years in sales to marketing, and a loss on the heels of getting married. I share about that. And then the other loss that I shared, that was the reason why the first manuscript was for me, but I share about the death of my mom. So about 3 months after I'd relocated from Chattanooga, Tennessee to New York, got this big job, living the dream. Husband and I recently married. So we're like, we out here, we living in New York. 3 months later, very unexpectedly, my mom died. And so I share
Wow.
about my grief journey and just about how, a lot of what we experience is grief. And we don't like to talk about that. I mean, specifically as the Black community,
Yeah.
we as the faith community, and
Yeah.
also we as corporate professionals. And so I try to provide, I don't try, but I provide a framework for how to journey through grief instead of trying to get over it and go around it. And, as women, particularly as Black women, we put our capes on and we like, I'm so
Man.
strong, I got this. Meanwhile, we're suffering in silence, and shooting ourselves about all the things that we thought we should do and, should have done. And just to really give people permission to journey through loss with resilience in a real way that's authentic, that's purposeful, and it also has an element of joy.
Man, that is so dope. And Thrive Through It because people are hurting right now with the pandemic and losing loved ones and losing jobs and so much loss. but really having a playbook and a map to which to really, process everything that's going on and really figure out how to thrive. That is the key. The key is really about taking time and moving forward. Okay. You really have to take time for your mental to really evaluate all the stuff that's taking place and all the stuff that's really like hindering your growth, whatever it is. You have to just take that time so that you can thrive through it. You can't cry through it. You may try to cry through it, but at the end of the day, you got to thrive through it, baby. You gotta dust yourself off. Uh, and we got to keep pushing. Like I said, man, we done survived so much. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that you can
Yeah.
survive whatever you are going through. So how do they find the book? How do they find or get connected to you? It used to be Styled by Britt. Isn't she's not styling anymore? You know what I'm saying? She's the career thriver. I think it's I am Brittany Cole now. You know what I'm saying? She done switched the whole name.
Listen,
I
I'm
am
like
Brittany
2020
Cole.
is about being intentional. Like, okay, I gotta separate this business, this inclusive leadership development firm that I'm building from my personal brand. So
Come
yes.
on.
So the book is helping me kind of, create a further channel of like, okay, this is how I envision serving people in terms of, being an author, being a coach,
Yeah.
and being a consultant, and then also, the business that I'm building that, perfectly one day someone else will lead, that helps organizations, really be more inclusive so that people, regardless of their difference, can thrive. But yeah, so you can check out the book at thrivethroughitbook.com. All the details are there, and then all of my information is there. And Josh, one other thing that I would just say on this topic of thriving, I think many times we think of thriving through this lens of like being able to see success, right?
Yeah.
So we say, oh, I see you, doing X, Y, and Z, or oh, I got the promotion, or oh, I landed the big client. So we see thriving as this manifestation of an outcome that we desired. And although I think that is a form of thriving, the kind of thriving that I'm talking about is regardless of if that happens or not. So it's more about a mindset and how we think
Come
about it,
on.
how we approach, how we're journeying through, regardless of if it's triumph or challenge. So I wholly believe that we can even thrive through 2020 in tandem with the losses, because
Yeah.
it's not about being able to see the success. I think that comes right as you have a mindset about, no, I can thrive in this moment, even if I'm hurting, at the same time that I am thriving through it.
Come on, drop a gem, man. Let me hit DJ Clue Bomb. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, it's all about your
Yeah.
mindset, man. It's
Yes.
really about it's like all of the everything is fleeting. Okay. You can get a car and lose it tomorrow. You can get a house and lose it tomorrow. But your mind, your mental, and if you're on with your right mind, your mind is right. And that's what the Bible say you got to renew your mind daily. That's why it says that,
Yep.
because your mind will play tricks on you. Ghetto boy said that my mind is playing tricks
Listen,
on me.
daily, okay?
You got to renew that thing daily
It
because
does.
you
It
thrive.
does.
You can
Yeah.
thrive mentally. You can thrive mentally. You can have your mental together. You can do anything.
Yeah.
Everything else is gonna come. You
That's
got to
where it starts. And it's
come on.
often the most challenging part. But to your point, it's like, Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of it's a lot of other stuff that could have gone there. Be transformed by the renewing of how much you pray, or
Yeah,
no, it says, be transformed by the renewing of your
of your
mind. What
mind.
are you doing,
Come
to renew
on.
your mind? And no one else can really do that for you but you. You can put yourself in environments that help you cultivate the kind of mindset that you need to thrive, but really, like, that is the work. When Ayala Van says do the work, like oftentimes I tell clients, like, okay, girlfriend, you got to do the work. Like, I can't do this for you. I can provide some tools, right, and some resources, but like,
Right.
you have to get to physically do this part, and it's every day. It's every day.
Come on. Well, thank you so very much for taking time out of your so busy schedule. I know everybody's booking you. I know you're gonna be on Steve Harvey and Ellen next week, and it's all good.
Oprah,
But thank
that's on
you.
my vision board.
Thank you for taking time to speak with a little old Joshua Monday.
Mayor Mundy,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing me on your show. Okay.
Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. And also, thank you to all of our great sponsors, Pivot Technology School, also Career Thrivers. Make sure you all go to Career Thrivers
.com.
book. Is it Career
No, it's
Thrivers
just
book?
careerthrivers.com. Yep.
CareerThrivers.com. See all the things that she has going on. It's amazing. She is transforming corporations and transforming individuals. So make sure you tap in with Brittany Cole. She will change your life. And also go get the best-selling, Amazon best-selling book, Thrive Through It. Yes. So thank y'all so very much for tuning in. Make sure you all tune in next week for another episode of I'm Josh Saying. Yes. Thank you.
I love it. I
Thank
love
you,
it.
Great Combo Media. We out. Peace.